welcome back to American Truck Simulator. I'm David Steele and here's me truck. And we're in Texas. Okay, that all out the way. Let's talk a little bit about this truck. In fact, you know what, let's actually just jump into the truck itself. Okay, there we go. I'm going to go ahead and start it up and see if you can tell what's under the hood. Let's go ahead and do that. Yes, well, maybe you can, maybe you can't, but that is a Detroit Diesel Series 60. Yes, I know, it's not the usual sort of power plant that you'd find in a Mack R, and hey, you know what, that's okay. I've just filled the tank with diesel and ran it for just a little bit. It's still pretty cold. I'm going to go ahead and start on my route, but let's talk a little bit more about this particular truck and some of the history behind it and so on and so forth. So, this particular model is the R626. Now, they were originally manufactured with a Detroit Diesel 6V92 under the hood. That's the 9-litre two-stroke engine that is known to be, well, let's just say you need to drive it like you stole it to get the best performance from it. It's just a thing, it's what they're known for. Well, this truck has been restored. It's in pretty good condition, and the engine, however, was pretty much shot. And the truck had been used for, I believe, originally cattle hauling, and then it was pressed in service to haul fuel. So it's got a pretty low specification.
Turn left.
Let's go ahead and stop there. So we're missing things like those snazzy little extra small mirrors underneath the main mirrors, which help you sort of judge where on earth you are and what's behind you. It's missing hood mirrors. Okay, that's fine. I added the onboard computer. I think this guy's letting me out. Yes, he is. Thank you. Okay, let's go ahead and pull out. I also added the roof lights. Didn't come with those. We need them for regulation, and of course that Allison transmission. It's a 740D. That's the deep reduction unit. It's a 4-speed. I didn't need to get in this lane. Let's go ahead and do this. So yeah, it's a 4-speed and direct drive, and we are running, I think, a 342 final drive in this transmission today. So it's a little taller than what it would have come with from the factory. I think it was a 378 that this thing came with. We swapped it out for a slightly taller final drive, as befits not needing to do 9,000 RPM to be able to perform. I think it's a slight exaggeration, but the 6V92 really needed lots of revs to perform. The Series 60 is much happier to perform at sort of 1200 revs. Let's go ahead and get the speed up to 55. Yeah, so 1600 to 55. I mean, it's a lot of revs, but that's okay. Let's go ahead and tap that up to 65. Yeah, my temperature's getting pretty much up to normal now, so let's go ahead and do that. I don't think I need my speed showing. 7:30 in the morning now. 1900 revs at 65. It's not really built for high speed, but it's not got a lot of power. This is the 250 horsepower version of the Series 60. That's only 970 foot-pounds of torque. It's really not a lot. Does it matter? Well, in the context of the Mack R, 970 is a reasonable amount. I'm going to go ahead and kill the power there. Just indicate. I'm going to turn right. We're going to go and visit an installation in the oil industry today, and we're going to see if they've got any jobs that we can run. I feel I would love to do some cattle hauling, but I'm not near any cattle in this part of the world, but I am near the oil industry. And hey, if we've got some fuel to haul, the automatic transmission's great for that. So, why would you want to haul fuel with an automatic? A couple of reasons, actually. The first one is that thing called a torque converter. That enhances your torque at low revs. For the 6V92, that's very useful. That thing is known to have pretty much nothing below, let's say, 1400 revs. The Series 60 is a little better in this regard, but I wouldn't say it's it's not exactly an MX-11, let's just say. So having a boost to low down torque is very useful. And the second reason is all to do with how fuel sloshes around in the tanker trailer as you're driving around, and that's a bad thing. You really don't want fuel sloshing around, especially if you have to go around a corner, because it'll upset the balance of the trailer. And you don't want to spill fuel. You don't want to, I would say capsize, because unlike boats, you don't want to turn the thing on its side. You don't want to topple it over. You don't want to deal with fuel spills. You know, the approach for a fuel spill is not to try and douse it with water or chemicals or foam or anything. Nope. It's to keep everyone the heck out of the way and let the thing burn itself out. So, depending on the job, you might have £50,000 worth of whatever particular volatile chemical you've got stuck behind you in an aluminium cage. It's not a cage, it's a bottle, I suppose. Aluminium burns. Yeah, so avoiding unnecessary fuel slosh and unnecessary momentum in the fuel in the tank, or having the thing splash around, it just helps you not topple over. And I'm all about not crashing. Buzzinger. Right. Go ahead and put it in neutral. So Allison do say if you ever leave this thing in gear when you turn it off, take it to be serviced immediately. Let's go ahead and see what they've got. So freight market, first of all, we have just oil equipment. That wouldn't be a bad run. That's not a bad cargo. That is a very heavy cargo for just a low-powered engine. Construction houses to Ely. That's too long a trip for this. Let's see what's in the external market. What have we got? Frac tank, power generator, frac tank, power. Crude oil, that's what I'm looking for. Oh, that's a heavy one. That's a little kinda, but here's another one of these heavy. Yeah, you know what? Let's just do it. I mean, what's the worst that happens is that we just can't haul this load, but this is kind of what the truck's made for. So, 61839 pounds of crude oil. Faith, lad, that'll be a challenge. Right, let's go ahead and tell it we want the job. Drum roll, please, everyone.
What are we waiting for?
We're waiting for the game, Doug. It's there's my cargo. It's got 4 wheels. I wonder if the rear axle steers. It depending on the design of the trailer. Sometimes the forwardmost and aftmost or rearmost axle are actually liftable. This is going to put this engine and this transmission under test. Let's go ahead and drop the right windows and right height. Actually, let's do that. I should probably also put my 4-ways on as well. Is there anything around me? No. Well, yes, there is, but they should hear me and they should see me. Lights on for safety, obviously. Certainly picking up speed pretty quickly in reverse gear. Right, are we there yet? Are we there? Okay, look at that. Right, that's got the parking brake on, put it in neutral. Let's go ahead and connect the trailer. Extra sound today is courtesy of Z-Mods. I'll put a link to the sound packs in the description below. Ride height back to 0. Let's go ahead and give a quick inspection of the outside. Let's see if I can raise my... Yes, I can. It looks like the axles are liftable. So that's probably a steering rear axle, and that's useful to know. Is if you go around a tight corner with a steering axle, the trailer will not behave. It'll swing a little bit more out. So I'm turning right. The trailer will swing a little more to the left. Quick sip of coffee. Got to drink that coffee. It's getting cold. Right, let's shift the auto transmission into first, and let's get on the way. I didn't do a tug test today. I possibly should have, but nope. Okay, I gotta say, that thing moved off very easily. I am feathering the throttle pedal right now. We are not giving it a lot of beans. I'm actually impressed with that. This may be a much easier trip than I was fearing. It's harder if I keep going off the road. Right, let's get my four ways off. Let's get us back on that. That's all nice and shiny. Gotta love that horn. Right, well, let's get back on the power. There's not so much to hear with the engine. We're using the Detroit Diesel Series 60 11 litre from the Steel Productions engine pack. That is a shameless plug. It is my engine pack. Sound for this engine is courtesy of the stock Freightliner Cascadia. So it's not a Z-Mods, shall we say. But I am no sound engineer. I don't know how to use F-Mod, at least not right now. I want to build realistic torque curves that are a pleasure to drive. So I will use the engine brake here so you all can hear what it sounds like. Yeah, so it's the stock engine brake. Oh, and wow, this thing does feel heavy. 10 seconds, clear left and right, I think. Let's go. Now I'm using lots of power. And it's not, there we go. Not doing much, but acceleration is a little pedestrian. Well, with only 4 speeds, it's going to rev it out to, well, I think that was about 1800 revs, because it wants to upshift to give itself enough torque in the next gear. Close those windows. I mean, I'm already up to 30, but I'm only in second gear. Let's see when's it going to change. So 1700, 18, okay, to 1250. Yeah, I have no complaints there. I'll take some more coffee. Like I say, this is getting cold, and nobody wants a cold, dead coffee on them, right?
Get ready to turn right.
Let's kill my cruise control. Let's go ahead and use some more engine brakes. I'm not going to force the transmission to shift down. Let's just watch what it behaves. Bit of service brake here. Okay. Starts to turn in as a Prius there, but we're not able to take that out today, unfortunately, and back on the power. Fairly neat view, David. Way to go. Let's go ahead and get my speed showing on the trip computer. We're just going straight ahead at this intersection. There we go. And I'm going to set the cruise at 55. We'll see how cleanly it gets up to there. Appear to be clear on the left lane. That's clear enough, I reckon. Okay. So it's at this part of the speed range where we really feel the effect of all that crude oil behind us, plus the tanker weighs something too. So we are entirely possibly grossing. Look how close that SUV is to that truck. You chuff. We are very possibly grossing over £100,000 today. There goes that Prius. No chance of catching him now. So we're asking a 250 horsepower 11 litre engine to haul £100,000 with just 4 speeds. I think we can cut it some slack if we're not able to get up to 80 here, which is the speed limit. But we don't want to cut me slack for veering all over the road. So it's not exactly the fastest thing on 18 wheels, but I didn't expect it to be, and the fact that it's moving off from rest without really any fuss, that's great. Well, let's go ahead and watch the view from here for a little bit. I'm going to finish my coffee, I reckon. Hopefully there's nothing about to merge. We'll find out with a bit of a bump if there is. What are we doing? Almost at 55. We're going to lose a bit of speed up this bridge, I'm sure. Only a little bit. So Mack were producing the Mack R until around about 2005. I think it was 2005, 2006 when they finally ended production, and it was replaced with, I believe, the Granite, or was it the Pinnacle? I guess I will know at some point. But it was eventually replaced. The R actually went up when it was introduced to replace the Mack B series. And so throughout the history, the B series used, towards the end of its life, was using thermodyne engines that made its way into the Mack R. If you're interested in some of the thermodyne engines, there's a couple available in the Steel Productions engine pack. Yes, another shameless plug. And some of the technologies that Mack introduced were, in its day, pretty awesome. I would also say pretty cool. So the whole cool tip, the means of cooling down the intake air to get more power and better efficiency from the engine, that was very much something that Mack pioneered for the heavy-duty truck industry. Let's use some engine brake here.
Get ready to turn.
The Detroit diesel is not known for having the most powerful engine brake, and the 11 litre is smaller than the other Series 60, so the smaller the engine, the weaker the engine brake. So we've given it plenty of assistance with the service brakes there. Get my window down. I want to just look over my shoulder, make sure there's nothing coming. Nope. Okay, great. So that thing snaps round to the revs and then selects second gear. Yeah, this is a very pleasant experience, I have to say. You've got none of that jerkiness associated with, choose a gear, get up to the revs you need, change gear, and there's a bit of a bump when you drop the gear into the next, and so on and so forth. You don't get that with the auto. There's another nodding donkey here on the right. That's my coffee finally finished. So from that perspective, that's exactly what we want. Crude oil is not as flammable as, say, gasoline,
Go straight.
but make no mistake, you get in a big enough collision, diesel or crude oil will most certainly catch fire. And once it catches fire, it's going to burn for a long time, until there's, well, nothing left to burn. So we're pulling up this hill in third at 33, and we're not losing speed, but we're also not gaining it. We've just gained a mile an hour there. That's an interesting trait of some of the automatics I noticed, especially the lower powered ones. And that is, they haul remarkably well. The payback is efficiency, and what's happening here is the transmission, or it may be modeling the torque converter. That torque's going into the transmission, it's producing heat, it's doing lots of things. It's burning fuel. Of course, if it burns fuel and you burn more fuel but maintain a certain speed, that impacts your fuel consumption. So a combination of short gearing and torque converter means we're not going to get very good mileage for this trip. Is that going to matter? Well, a little bit. You got to throw in some more factors too. A low-powered engine. That means we're going to spend a lot of time at pretty much full power. Let's get back on my engine brake, I think. Okay, unless I've got a traffic light. So a lot of time at full power. That will translate into poorer fuel consumption. Oh, and did I mention that the nearly 62,000 pounds of crude oil sat behind us? That's another factor that's going to make a difference too. So yeah, I don't expect great fuel consumption from this trip, but only 118 miles left to go, so maybe I'm going to see 4 to the gallon. I think that would be about what we'd see. Shorter trips, you don't get as good mileage. What are we looking so far? 6, but that includes a bit of time with nothing on the back. There's 1.3 as we accelerate up this gradient. See if this Mustang will let me in. I think he will. No, he won't. He's not. Okay, thanks Mustang. Here we go. Let's pull in there. Alright, so hauling up this hill, 1.2 to the gallon. Yeah, I won't get far at 1.2, but once we reach the top. Yeah, there we go. Immediately jumps to closer to 3, and I'm still at full power here once we reach the top. I'm going to lift off pretty much as soon as we crest, so around about now. Because I've got a red light. I don't need to accelerate up to the red light. I'm not going anywhere. I shield back on the brake. Let's give it some engine brake here. Now, there's a green filter. That's what I want to call it with my British language. There's a green light to the left. The arrow's just gone on. When that goes off, we get to go next. I would have loved to have used the hill to help me accelerate. I might yet get to do that. If I can accelerate down a hill, it just saves a little bit of fuel. Okay. Yeah, it's a big trailer. So it's no surprise it's heavy. Getting a little bit of lag in my game as well, but not horrendous. Mileage has dropped to 5.6 over the trip, but like I say, it's not really a fair comparison yet. City driving is going to be, well, it's going to cause the mileage number to tank. But once we get up to cruising, the small capacity engine is really going to help things out, I think. Especially if we're able to actually go on the flat. That would be nice.
Go straight.
Where's everyone merging into this lane? Well, I know why they're doing it, because 2 lanes become 1 up ahead, but in real life everyone's be hoofing it down the left lane. Try and get in front of this slow coach in a Mack. Let's tap up to 40. Let's see if we can get up to our cruising speed. Back up to 50, and we're at 34. Yeah, 34 when we cross to 50, so not the most performant. I'm not going to try and get up to 65. I don't think it's going to do it. Right, so when do we change up into 4th gear? That's 37. 1500 revs. Come on, just a little more. Yeah, it's taking its time. Guess we'll use the right lane. We don't want to hold anyone up. There we go. So basically 40, and we're in top. So why would you use a 250 horsepower Series 60 when you can get the Series 60 11 litre, I should say, up to or 350? There are some variable power ratings in the range there. There's the cruise rating, and that engine, when you've got cruise control on, gives you more power, and that's to encourage drivers to, well, use the cruise control. You may be able to climb a hill with cruise on that you couldn't if you disabled cruise control. It's an interesting feature, and that's one of the benefits of the Detroit Diesel Series 60's electronic control system. This was one of the first, it may have been the first, heavy-duty turbo diesel engine that was fully electronic controlled. And it was introduced in the 1990s, and Detroit basically said, yeah, we're just going to move everything to electronic control systems. I've got a stop sign up here. Great. I'll be in the left lane as well. A bit of service brake here. So all of the Series 60 engines, at least from the factory, used an electronic control system. It's like DDEC or ECU, and version 1 through, I think, 5 generations, possibly 4, possibly 6. If you have experience of this, drop a comment below. I'd appreciate it, but yeah, lots of versions of the software. Electronic control is advantageous for a few, excuse me, Tahoe, whatever you are, for a few reasons. From a trucker's perspective, it's another layer of complexity that you potentially don't want. In other words, it's something else that can go wrong. from the manufacturer's perspective, you can use finer control of fuel metering and other bits and pieces to reduce emissions, and that's also good for the environment. I know a lot of Americans are like, I don't care about the environment, I want to burn as much gas as possible. Well, that's great, but it's a little short-sighted and selfish, in my opinion. We aren't just around on this planet for ourselves. Some of us have children and grandchildren and significant others that are going to outlive us. It'd be nice to leave the place, still working when we're gone. So, protecting the environment, reducing emissions, reducing the black soot, which is basically part burnt or unburnt diesel, that's a good thing. If you do that, you reduce your fuel consumption because you are burning less fuel for a given amount of power. You're using less fuel, you're actually burning the same amount of fuel. You're not covering the trailer with black soot. That's a good thing. Like I say, it's something else to break, and the emissions control systems there also, certainly the last 20 years, their reputation is that they are the most fragile part of the engine. In other words, if something's going to break, it's your EGR, it's your particulate filter. It's going to just not be as reliable as the rest of it. Those very high pressure injectors, that's the riskiest overtake I've seen in the game for a long time. I don't think it was risky. The high pressure fuel system, that's the stuff that's going to break. Your block is probably not going to crack. At least not for the first 1,000,000 miles. Another feature from the engine manufacturer's perspective is they can finally control the torque output and the power output of their engine range. Now you might be thinking, so what? Well, what that means is you can have a range like, for example, the DD Series 60. You can have a range that goes from 250 up to 350, 365, depending on whether you have the cruise rating or not.
Keep right.
You can allow your customer to very easily change the specification of that engine. In other words, you can turn it up and you can turn it down. So yes, I've got a 250 horsepower engine here. If this hardware is the same as the 300 or the 330 version, a quick software update, essentially, and my 250 horsepower Mack becomes a 300 horsepower Mack, or a 330, or a 350, or whatever this engine can go to. And that ability to re-rate an engine helps resale value. You might buy this truck and run it as a 250 because you're only going around the city. Maybe it's a dump truck, and for whatever reason it doesn't need all the extra power. Then you want to sell it, and you want to make it as tempting as possible. You could re-rate it to 350 horsepower, and there you go. Who wants a 350 horsepower Mack? That's all you ever need, right? So that's nice. From a fleet manager's perspective, he or she or they may wish to reduce the power of their trucks for whatever reason. And I promise you it's not to upset the drivers. That's an unfortunate side effect. But maybe you want to have your fleet rated at, let's say, no more than 350 horsepower. Well, you wouldn't be buying the Detroit diesel 11 litre, I would suppose, but let's say 300. You might rate them all at 300. You might buy the 250 and re-rate it to 300. You might buy the 330 and de-rate it to 300. You can adjust it. And it's a few $100 potentially just to get the new code installed on the ECU, and off you go. So yeah, there are a good few advantages to having software that does this. Theoretically, it's easier than fiddling around with the mechanical pump. Sure, if you know what you're doing with a mechanical diesel pump, you can very easily increase the power, you can just modify it, you can reduce, you can derate if you need to. But it's not quite as friendly to its reputation is it's not quite as friendly to the environment. You know, you crank up that fuel pump, you increase the soot that comes out the back.
Go straight.
Just throw more fuel into the engine. So yes, this Mack R is fully electronic, and some of the other Mack engines were as well. The E6 and E7, they were available as, certainly the E7, as either a mechanical engine, a mechanically injected engine, or electronic control. If you wanted the mechanical E7, you could absolutely have it, and that particular engine has a very enviable reputation in the industry. You drop all of the sophisticated electronics that can be troublesome at medium to high mileages. This particular generation Mack R did not come, or could not come, with the E7 because the Mack E7 had not been invented at that point. But the 11 litre Macks certainly were. The E673 all the way through to the E6 family, basically. They can trace their origins back to the Thermodyne, as I understand, possibly even older than that. Gosh, I've been talking for a long time about reasons why I totally ran that light. Reasons why you would have an electronic engine and enjoy it, or not enjoy it. I should probably shut up and we should just enjoy the drive. Isn't that the truth, right? Okay, another red light. Boy, I'm sure glad I've got the automatic with all these stop-go, all this traffic. No, traffic's not that bad, all these stoplights. Okay. Let's pull up to the lights. Excuse me. Hey, let me know what you think to this this cream color in the comments below. I ran this in a live stream, and I quite like it. It's like a, well, sort of an off-white. It's a little bit blown out right now. I could probably turn off my headlights. I often run the headlights in the Mack R, not for safety, but it doesn't mean if they're off I'm going to crash. It's because I need to see the dashboard. Okay, I've given it a boot full of power and it finally seems to get going. With having one window down, I've got the sound very much biased on the left-hand side. Let me go ahead and open the other window when I'm able to. Let's negotiate around this corner now. What did I get a fine for? Oh no, I crashed into someone. What did I do?
Go straight.
I don't know what I did. Well, I'll tell you what I wasn't doing. I wasn't paying attention to my driving. That's unfortunate. Right, well, the last 28 miles left to go. Let's go ahead and get the other window down. It's 95 Fahrenheit out there, so now the cabin's 95. Does this thing have AC? Can I even see here? I mean, I don't think so. That would imply it doesn't have AC, so it's a pretty hot cabin, I would imagine. Some of them do, though. You can certainly get AC installed on them, and if you're going to use this for long haul, then absolutely you would want it. Look at the difference in size in this Volvo, and performance as well. He's way faster than I am. I'm going to shut my windows. I think I'm just going to suffer in the heat for now. It's a bit noisy with the windows down. Let's get my cruise turned on, just watching the mirror. I want to crash into anyone else. That's embarrassing, right? So I have to, tip my hat to how well this 11-litre engine is hauling this very chunky load. It is not the quickest, and I think ideal equipment for this kind of this cargo would probably be, well, maybe a Kenworth W900 long wheelbase with a 600 horsepower engine. I mean, that's kind of like, yeah, I definitely need that. And in this case, need is in quote marks. Would you want to go with a maybe a 500 horsepower 1850 engine. So if it were a little older, I might go with a Cat C15 with an auto for smoothness, possibly. But you don't need to. You can get by with 250 horsepower. That's, I guess that's the way they did it in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. You didn't need 400 plus horsepower under the hood to haul. Today's economy, today's market is, I'm sure, much more cutthroat. Time is money, money is profit, and so if your drivers can average 10 miles an hour quicker than they could 10 years ago and be safer and use less diesel, then that's what you're going to do. And if that means you use a Volvo V&L with a 13-litre engine that's got the latest fuel-saving technologies and super high gearing, then that's what we see, and that's okay. I think something like this will always have an appeal. It's just whether this truck will be viable for the modern day road. I'm getting a little bit philosophical here.
Keep right, and then turn right.
But one of the cool things about my engine pack is you really could install the Cummins X12, say, into this particular truck. I mean, hey, I haven't locked it down. You could install an X15 into this if you really wanted to. But to be authentic, you probably should do it with the 700 hood. That's about 1.5 foot longer, it looks like. That's a tiny little hood. Look at that tiny, so cute! But it's not a big engine bay. Certainly in the context of any of these big rigs around me. Look at this LT. Can't really see the length of the hood in comparison, but it's a lot bigger. Let's see if I can match briefly. No, I really can't, but yeah.
Turn right.
Yeah, maybe I'll do a video with something like the X12 under the hood. I'm going to go ahead and just pull through. Should I have done that? Hard to say, but I'm getting good at not running into things with a long trailer, which is always good to see. Let's power through this crossing here.
Get ready to turn left.
Yeah, you got some interim engines that are available with the Mack R. Things like the Cummins L10 and the M11. ISM, I believe, is also available. These are 10 to 11 litre engines that are more modern than the Series 60 in some cases, but not as modern as the X12 or the ISX12. Another red light. I'm going to just coast up to the red light, and let's just take a quick look at the mileage whilst I'm here. 5.3.
Go straight.
Yeah, that's dropped quite a bit. I'm going to suppose we might have squeezed 4.5 miles per gallon from this tank, which, given that we pretty much didn't exceed 55, is not exactly a model of efficiency. On the other hand, this truck dates back to the 1970s. It's kind of 40 to 50 years old, and the design is even older than that. So if you'd had this truck in service for, let's say, 45 years, and you haven't had to build a new truck, you've kept it on the road, you serviced and maintained it, carbon footprint there is probably still less than replacing the truck every, let's say, 15 years. You would be looking to replace, or having just replaced the truck for the fourth one. Yeah, it's a lot of materials that you would have had to have gone through to replace it with a modern truck.
Here we are, kind of on time.
Right, let's see how difficult the difficult parking is here. Oh, I do not want to do that. That is, those buildings to my right, that's very difficult to get it in that spot. I've got to basically back it up the full U length. I'm going to go ahead and do the easy parking. It's a bit of a cop-out, I know, but sorry. Let's do this. Turn my four ways on, get my windows down, and let's try and do this without external view. So Steer it nice and tight, like so. Let the truck move by itself. Don't need to give it any power right now. Give it a squeeze on here. This guy is maybe helping me, or maybe he's wanting to score me or something. Okay. Ease it forward. Not convinced that we're actually in the spot, but I don't want to use the external view just yet. Inch it forward, okay, so a little further. Come on, come on, come on, come on. I reckon you're in it, David. Yay, there you go. Look at that. I would say that's perfect. It's not quite, it's nowhere near perfect, but it's the game likes it. It's good enough for me. Right, let's go ahead and shut it down. And just for argument's sake, stick around and let's see what our fuel consumption was. So, 213 miles and 42.4 gallons. That's exactly 5 to the gallon. That is it's higher than I thought. I'm happy with that. I mean, hey, if this were a long haul trip and you're going to get 5 to the gallon, yeah, that's not bad going. Not bad at all. Right, well, hope everyone enjoyed today's video. If you have, you should know exactly what to do. That's right, you should go buy someone lunch. Go out for lunch with a loved one and buy a table next to you, buy their lunch. And click like. And you can subscribe for more. Thanks ever so much for watching, everyone. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.